I'm just a Michigan-made girl who survived major trauma after major trauma. I moved all over the country in the United States, north, south, east, and west. But it wasn't until I found myself wanting to end my life right smack in the middle of the country that I realized I could no longer run from the pain of my past. I needed to heal it so I could have the future I deserved and longed for. Now I speak on multiple stages and pages about how to turn your tragedies into your triumphs. Here I have fantastic specialists and guests to help me on that journey, to help people not only around the country, but now around the globe. I'm a speaker, podcaster, coach, and author, but most of all, I am now a victor in my life. And now my mission is to help you find the victor in you.
Welcome to Multiform PTSD. Here's your host, Tracy Lowry.
In this special Mother's Day episode, we speak with Amelia Mora Mars, who was raised by a mother who had mental health issues. This sparked a deep passion within her to learn more about the brain, how it works, and how to change a person's mindset. Now she works with clients who were also raised by emotionally unavailable mothers. But what is an emotionally unavailable mother? What are the 4 different attachment styles of mothering? And how does that affect their children? What is remothering, and how can we heal our own lives and future generations? When is the right time to make yourself a priority, and how do we even start to do that? Find out on today's episode. And hello, Amelia. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
I'm good. Busy week, but thank you for the invitation.
Good. I hope it's good, busy, and we're very happy to have you.
Thank you. Lots of celebration. I have 2 children with birthdays.
Oh, yay.
Yes, I have a daughter graduating from the sheriff department on Friday.
Awesome.
And then I have a son who got word that he's going into kind of the first leg of the Navy SEAL. So you have to do an assessment before you're even invited to the BUDS program. So that's scary as a mom.
Right.
But that's what he's wanted to do. So he, all the kids that pass, then once they graduate from the service academy, they would come back the following summer. So lots of celebration.
Okay, lots of celebration. Well, congratulations to all.
Thank you.
And especially mom, because I know that's like proud mama moment. And thank both of your kids for their service. I mean, they're serving our communities and our country in very different ways, but very important ways. So,
Yes, thank you so much.
They have my full support and Multiform PTSD's full support. We love men and women who serve our country and our communities here in the U.S. So thank them for me.
I will absolutely do that.
Thank you. All right. But now let's talk about you and what you do. So let's go ahead, dive right in. And why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got here?
Okay, so first I always like to say my most important role is that of a mom. I have 6 daughters and 4 sons.
Good for you. Wow.
Yes. So that the thing that's funny about that is there was a time when I wanted 0 children and my husband wanted 1. So our joke is that 1 and 0 equals 10. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So yes, so that's what we say. And the reason was because my mom had mental illness and she had anxiety and depression and, horrible mood swings. And so I was very much afraid of her. And so my world was around protecting my siblings and keeping us safe the best that I could, not something a child should have to do. But in that, I had a fascination with mental illness. I had a fascination with the brain and bipolar in particular. And so when I grew up, I wanted to be a therapist. And so as being a therapist and a coach, so I can coach women across the country, I serve women raised by emotionally unavailable moms and help them to be seen and heard and validated and all the things that maybe they didn't have when they were little children.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Thank you for doing that, truly. So explain to our listeners, what would you say an unavailable mother is? Can you define that a little bit for us?
Or I guess it would depend on a person's interpretation, but it could be a mother who's physically there, but emotionally not there.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be a woman that's so anxious that her child helps soothe her mother instead of the mother helping contain the emotions of the daughter. Or it could look like a woman that's so busy, maybe she's a single mom and she just can't be there, no fault of her own. Or it could be a woman that maybe she's amazing in being a doer, but might be very uncomfortable with saying I love you or physical affection. And so little girls grow up wanting more and more, but mom can't, she has a difficulty, getting close and bonding. So it looks different to different people, but it's just what it leaves a little girl is feeling alone and lost. And in a lot of ways, like she has to figure things out on her own and take care of herself.
Right. Right. What a beautiful niche. I love that. I really do. And I think so often when we think of childhood and past and issues that they have, this isn't one that we talk about a lot. I know we talk a lot about abuse and physical abuse and mental abuse, and it sounds like that isn't necessarily the case in these cases. Like you said, maybe it's a single mom that's just her lot, and there's other things that required her attention in order to take care of her family, but that does leave the children lacking. And I am a single mom, so that's probably another reason why that resonates with me. I have literally just I've been quite busy lately myself, and I finally have learned, you know what, I schedule things as much as I possibly can while he's in school. My mom helps me out as far as taking him to different activities and stuff that he does. I'm very blessed in that way, but it has made me turn off the computer, turn off my phone, or put it in the other room and really make sure I still spend that time with them. Just yesterday, we went out and we shot basketball hoops, and I taught him some things because he's new in that. And it's really been something that I find very important. So I'm glad we're talking about this. So you're working with mostly women who have dealt with unavailable moms, or both women and men that have dealt with unavailable moms?
Well, the reality is that more women come to therapy or coaching than men. So
right.
when I have the chance, I serve them too, but I also work with teenage girls and college girls, and I already see the patterns. So
I'm sure
that's a privilege to work with them at a younger age, hopefully to help direct them and guide them.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and, this season I'm really trying to dig in on the take homes, and I want to help people and give them tips that they can actually start doing. So let's go ahead, dive in. And how do you help these kids understand maybe what their situation was as a child, and how do you help them turn that and grow and develop in their adulthood and then possibly being a parent themselves?
Yeah, so I always start with their attachment style. So when I went to school, my specialization was in attachment, and that's what intrigued me, because what happens in the early years tends to continue to show up in the present years, who we're attracted to, who our friends become, how we deal with conflict, those kinds of things. And so I always start with helping them learn their attachment style, because a lot of women can be very critical about themselves and beat themselves up. And I feel as though when they know whether they have a secure attachment style or anxious or avoidant or anxious avoidant, that they can start to begin to see and feel, oh, that's why I'm like this. That makes sense to me.
Right. Kind of a validation.
There's a validation, right? And that there's nothing wrong with me. This is what happened to me. And so that's where we start. So in my program, that's always where we start, with the attachment. Okay. And then with that gives us that space for self-love. Instead of judging ourselves and being critical, it's like that self-love that so many women didn't, they didn't have it. They didn't, it's more critical, feeling guilt, shame. and working with that. And then without boundaries, because boundaries protects our sense of self, right? If we don't have the boundaries around us, boundaries help us to keep the good in and the bad out. And a lot of children were raised with the bad in and the good was out there, and all they knew was unhealthy boundaries, whether it is some kind of abuse or not feeling like they belong, or the chaos or addiction or yelling and screaming, those kinds of things. And then support. A lot of us are afraid of people, or afraid of letting people get close to us. And so we need this loving support that we didn't get, in ways that are, that support who we are, and that we can give ourselves permission to be known instead of always in that self-protection, hiding. And then integrating all the different parts, because there's parts of us that were frozen in time and they need to melt, and we give that attention to that part, and then we can integrate all our parts to become a full adult. So that's kind of what it looks like, the process.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And I love the analogy of, sometimes you're frozen there. I've heard quite often that when abuse starts, that's when growth or maturity, our maturity stops where abuse started. I've heard that. And so if you're abused as a child, some of you will stay in that space and time, and you won't grow further from there. And then you talk about it, sometimes we freeze there and you have to melt that. I love that analogy. You said you start off with the attachments. Can you go ahead and name what were those attachments? And then I'll probably list them here for the listeners that are on here on YouTube.
So the first one is the secure attachment, and that's about 60% of the people. And those are those people that were fortunate to have parents or caregivers or a mom that was consistently attentive, not perfect, but she had a sense of confidence herself that I don't know how to do this, but I'll figure it out and it's going to be okay. And so kids grow up in that sense of comfort, and mom's not like overly worried, like, oh, no, come down, get down,
Right.
She allows them, she's free to allow them to explore. So kids grow up feeling confident, like I can ride a bike, I can do all these things. And if I get hurt, mom's right there, she'll comfort me. So there's this sense of trust. So that's the secure attachment. The anxious attachment, mom tends to be the worrier, and she maybe had unfinished business from her own childhood. And so she's not quite so confident. She's fearful about, I don't know if I can meet my child's needs. And the children pick up on that.
Right.
And some children are taking care of mom and maybe won't go out and ride the bike as like they want to, because, oh, mom can't handle it. I might make mom nervous. So these are these helicopter moms that are just always worrying, controlling things to help calm her own heart down,
right.
So and we do have worries. My son said to me, Mom, you don't want me to be a Navy SEAL, do you? And I said, well, to be very honest, I worry about the trauma that's involved in what you see and experience. Right? However, it's a very, very rigorous program. And if you make it through all that, who am I to say? Who am I to stop you? That would be your calling, and you do that. So I wanted to give him like, yeah, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, but you do you. Right. I will support you. Yes. The avoidant mom has the trouble connecting. She might subconsciously feel like she cannot meet the emotional needs of her daughter or children. She might be like, can do, like, amazing in other ways. She might be able to do all kinds of things at work and at home, but she's not comfortable with the closeness. She's not comfortable with conversations. Honey, you'll be fine. Just don't cry. Well, she's just not comfortable with that. And so the child withholds because she knows my mom can't contain my emotions because it's too uncomfortable to her. And so they have to deal with it themselves. So that's a burden that they carry. So mom might show them love in all kinds of ways, but emotionally not there. Or mom might just be indifferent and unable to connect. And then the anxious avoidant is really troubling because the mom has no confidence at all. in her ability, because she herself is so emotionally dysregulated or dramatic, and so it's hard for her. And so the mother might be the source of comfort and the source of pain at the same time. So it's like, I want to get close to you, Mom, but you might hit me, you might hurt me, you might scream at me, you might say something mean. So there's this struggle. So highly dramatic, emotional woman has difficulty trusting, and that comes from her childhood. I mean, that's how she became that way. So the thing I always like to leave people with is that there's something called earned secure attachment. And the more you work on yourself and the more you're around people that are secure and loving and supportive, you can start to change, right? Our brains are plastic. There's that neuroplasticity. And we have tendencies, but we can grow into and become so much more. And that's the beauty of my work, is taking someone who feels so anxious or, whatever, and seeing her become more confident and more relaxed and more forgiving towards herself and loving herself more.
We need more women like you. I have a great, especially since I've started doing this, there's a great tribe of women out there who are strong and are encouraging and supportive and want to help other women and help lift them up and help them succeed in life. And then there's those who are really catty, who want to drag you down for one reason or another. And I'm not sure we have time to talk about that today. But I love that you want to be a part of the lifting up, because I think right now there's a lot of division all over the place, not just with women. That's not what I'm saying, but a lot of division and a lot of criticism and a lot of intolerance for people feeling and wanting different things. So I love how you have that space for others to grow and improve on themselves. Because like you said, we have those tendencies, we have those habits of our go-tos and our auto mode, as I call it, that can be changed. One of the phrases that I hear a lot that just makes me is, that's just the way I am. That's the way I was built. And I used to be the same way, so I get it. But right now I'm just like, but it doesn't have to be. We can change. If it's something we don't like about ourselves, we can change maybe not who we are, but we can become more who we truly are. I think a lot of these attributes that we may have are a defense from our childhood, from our parents, from other experiences that we've had. It's how we cope. And so we learn to be someone different. But I think we can learn how to be our true selves. It just takes some time in working through those issues. And it sounds like that's similar to what you do. How do you help those you work with transfer and change their mind, not change their minds, but their mindset?
Yeah, well, again, it usually starts from that attachment piece and learning to forgive themselves and to give themselves permission to grow and to become convinced that they deserve it. They deserve to have a voice. They deserve to be heard. And one thing I say to women is that, every mother, every woman stands on the bridge between the past and the future. And only the mother can do the work in the present to set her generations free. There's no one else that can do it. And so I just want to call them to a higher standard and take your place. Become the bridge between the past and the future. Become that woman who's going to take a stand and be warrior woman and take her rightful place as the female leader in her home to do the work, because it heals herself and her children and her future generations. Yeah. So it's calling them to something higher. It's not something just so small and minute. It's huge. It's a huge thing. Imagine if we all as mothers had a movement where we did this work. I mean, how would that change our world? What kind of children would we raise? Children that get out there and have a calling and a purpose and want to serve the world and serve each other and love each other and stand for each other. So for me, it's a bigger thing. I see it as a huge thing, and calling men and women to do the work that is hard at times, but
Absolutely.
necessary and worth it. And it is a responsibility and it is a privilege if we choose to see it that way.
I agree. I agree. What I like to say is I just felt like if I practiced self-care or put myself first in any situation, I was being selfish. And that's not the case. But the way I started away from that mentality was the best way I can take care of my son or take care of my clients or take care of my patients, because I'm a nurse. The best way I can take care of these people is to take care of me. And the best gift I can give my kids or my loved ones is my presence and my mental health and my stability. That's one of the best gifts I can give them. So I have to do the work for them. And then I was able to kind of roll it into, you know what, I'm worth it too.
There you go.
ah, but
Yes.
but it's if that's where you have to go first, then go there, because it's absolutely true that we need to be able to love ourselves and take care of ourselves so we can take care of others. And what a gift that is to others to do our work. And so we don't have to continue that cycle onto our kids or future generations. We can do the healing for ourselves and for future generations. I saw in our correspondence, you talked about teaching people to prioritize themselves. So I think this would be a good time to talk about, why do you think it's important that people prioritize themselves, and how do you help people do that?
Yeah, well, the story that pops in my mind about myself was, I had wanted to be a therapist when I was 12 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you do the little report, and I saw that you have to do your own therapy, and I thought, oh my gosh, no, no, I don't want to talk about my childhood ever, right?
Right.
So I forgot about it. I forgot about that dream.
Okay.
And then one day I was watching a therapist who had the attachment style, and I was just watching, listening, learning. And these hot tears just were dripping out of my eyes. And I was shocked. I was shocked. I didn't know what was happening to me. And then I spoke the words, I never finished. I never finished. And I knew exactly what that meant, that I buried something that I wanted, something that I felt was my calling. And my husband had a home office, and I ran to his office and I told him the story. He says, then you have to go back. You have to go back. And so I did. And so it's listening to those longings that we push down in our lives and start paying attention to what we love, what excites us, and I tell my clients, take a piece of paper and fold it in half, and during the week on the left side, write all the things you love, include all your senses, the people, the places, the things, the smells, the sounds, the things you touch that you love. And then all on the right, all those people, places, and things that make you cringe or uncomfortable, right? Because when we relax, our body, we relax. When we're uncomfortable, we tense up. What is tensing you up? And start creating a life where you're more relaxed, where you're listening to your longings. Create a life from that space. So you're in your flow, you're in more joyful. Not that we have to avoid everybody, right? We can't
Right. You can't do that.
But we make choices around who we prioritize, because that's prioritizing ourselves. And so it's just listening with an inner ear and having the inner eye to really pay attention to ourselves and drawing that out more. And that's especially challenging for women who have prioritized everybody else, children, mothers, past people, and for them to be like, wow, there's so many things I do because I feel obligated to. And I'm rarely doing anything that feels satisfactory or satisfying or fulfilling or purposeful for myself.
Right. Absolutely. I love how you put that. I have women in my life, very closely in my life, that literally, when you ask them, okay, you have a free day, what do you want to do? And they don't even know. They don't even know what they enjoy, what they would enjoy doing with their own time, because they're just so putting everyone else first and service. And those are good qualities. And I by no means want to say that those are not good qualities to take care of our loved ones and to love and to serve. I highly, highly support that. But if it's to your detriment, where you're not doing things that you enjoy in life, or even to the extreme of you don't even know what you would do to enjoy life, that's huge. And I love the idea of putting it on paper, the differences of do the things, what do you love, what brings you joy, what brings you satisfaction, what gives you energy, and what drains your energy. And you can't always take out everything that's draining. You can't always be surrounded by the positive, but you can make, like you said, those decisions of who you're going to be around more and who you're going to limit their access to your life and habits and things that you do and places that you are, and not, like you said, just stifling them. And I don't think we do that enough, because I know I get the most inspiration or guidance or knowing what my next step needs to be is when I'm doing those things that bring me joy, like doing yoga or running or just being outside with my kid and my dog. There are things that I don't do enough because I don't feel like it's productive. I think as women, there's a huge, like, I have to be productive all the time. Go, go, go. If I'm just sitting down watching a movie, I should be doing dishes, cleaning the house, whatever. There's a list a mile long. And we don't always have to be productive. We need to be putting ourselves in that space, like you said, that we can start flowing and letting that inspiration come and that joy come and relax. Like I notice, when I get tense up, my shoulders get here and like my jaw will start to hurt because I'm clenching. And that's a good sign that it's time to find. But if you have it on paper, like you said, then you can go back, because there's been times where I've had to do that. I'm just going to write down things that bring me joy, people that bring me joy. And if it's giving them a phone call, going out to lunch with them, or going to that place, whatever it is, if you have it written down, then you're not going to forget. And it's not in the middle of anywhere. And you're like, I can't even think about what I want to do right now. If you have it on paper, I love that.
Yeah. And a lot of women think that it has to cost money, but it doesn't necessarily have to cost money. I think of, sometimes when I'm working from home, I think, oh, I'm not going to put perfume on. But I put perfume on for me, and because my son buys perfume and he lives in New York right now. So it reminds me of him, and the walks and the music and meditations. There's so many apps. I had a client today and she's early 20s and she's one of those do. She just feels like she has to click off the list. And I said, what if you started the day from a point of rest? What if you start the day with a meditation or something like that? And for a lot of women, we might not like the meditations where there's silence. We might need guided ones to keep us focused,
Right.
But whatever it is starting with the day with intentionality. So I always ask myself this question when I look in the mirror and I'm putting my makeup on is, how can I grow today? How can I grow today? So I start the day thinking and looking for opportunities that I can grow. And my second one is, what can I give? What can I give today? So I'm looking out into the world, whether it's a smile or a compliment or a word of encouragement or anything, it's just starting with the mindset of the balance is, how can I grow? What can I give? This ebb and flow. It's not just, give, right? It's just like we gotta breathe in and we gotta breathe out. Life is balanced. We can't just live our life just breathing out.
Right.
Take a breath. So whatever works for each woman, starting with a thought, a question, and then looking for opportunities to have that balance.
For sure. So besides meditation, what are some other things you try to encourage to do to help get to that space? Because I know I'm a huge meditator. I love it. I I believe in it, and I don't do it near enough. There's, like you said, there's different kinds of meditation, and it's just a matter of finding what works for you. Like you said, some don't want to do the whole quiet thing. Sometimes I know when my brain is going so hard that I can't quiet it down, I need a guided meditation. I need someone telling me what to think about, what to imagine, what to focus on, because my brain won't do it without kind of that gentle nudge. Maybe you do want to do just quiet, but are there other things you encourage people to do to prioritize themselves and take care of themselves?
Well, this might sound so basic, but how many of us hold going to the bathroom because I got to do this? I got to,
yes.
Right? So it's simple. So listen to the bladder. You got to go now. Stop waiting. If you're hungry, stop, eat something. So it's just meeting those basic needs and stop ignoring ourselves. It's just horrible that we do that. It's just a way of life. So if it's music, what kind of music do you like? What kind of podcast could encourage you? What kind of exercise? Some people don't like to lift weights, but maybe they'll walk. Maybe it's a Zumba class. Maybe for some people, it's going to the ocean. For others, it's calling a friend. For another person, maybe it's a book or watching a funny show. It's just customized to you. So that's where paying attention is so important.
Absolutely. And again, writing down those things. A lot of time, just in what you were mentioning there, I could list off whether the ocean or reading or music. And there were so many of them. I was like, yep. Well, why aren't we writing those things down? So when we are feeling low, we know what to turn to. I know music is one of those quick turnarounds. I have a playlist on Spotify that is, I called it Level Up, because it's, if I need a quick, I got to level up. I'll do it before I do a podcast, or sometimes I'll do it at the beginning of the day while I'm doing my makeup. So I'm singing and jamming out to what is going to bring me to the level and the energy vibration of what I want to be able to put out and at least start my day off with.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I'm Hispanic. My parents are from Costa Rica. So I start my day. I got my Spotify on Latino hits.
I love it.
It's so energizing,
Yeah.
But today I listened to something different. It was a little bit more jazzy, so just whatever you're in the mood for. But make the playlist.
Yes. But like you said, it's listening to your body. It's being able to listen to what your body, your mind, your soul, we have different parts that need different things, but it's being able to listen and see what it is you need to get you to the level of where you want to be at, or the mood you want to be at. You talked about just the simple things of going to the bathroom and eating when our bodies tell us. It sounds silly and stupid, but as a nurse, I can tell you, I am making sure that my patients were, making sure they're peeing and they're pooping, and, how long has it been, and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, I'm like, I just went through an 8-hour shift and I didn't pee once. Because I was taking care of everyone else. And that was hard. That was really hard for me to say, you know what? I have to pee. That was where I would cry. That's where I would take my bathroom break. Okay, it's time. And that's when I would kind of decompress, because you can't cry in the middle of a code. You can't cry in the middle of a crisis, but afterwards, whoosh, I needed to take that time for me. But I finally had to listen to my body and my emotions when it was an appropriate time. I had to take that time for me, or I wasn't going to do anyone any good from that point on.
Yeah, great point. So it's like the physical and the emotional release right there in the bathroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No shame, or just decompressing, taking a few breaths. But I had to do that in order to then step out and take care of the next patient or the next thing that needed my attention. I had to take that time, or I was so frazzled, I wasn't going to do anybody any good. Like you said, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to take money. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. I mean, a lot of times we'll say, oh, I don't have time to do this. Even just taking 30 seconds of just taking a few breaths slowly in through the nose, out through the mouth, something that simple for just 30 seconds can really recharge. Sometimes we get so wound up where we think, and sometimes maybe we do, we need a whole day of doing that. But if we could do it more in little increments more often, we won't need to have that whole day of binge watching your Netflix shows and not getting out of bed. I think having days like that are necessary too, or a week's vacation or whatever it is. But if we can take more moments throughout the day that are just short moments, it helps us get through the day and we won't feel quite so just depleted at the end of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to go back to having it be Mother's Day. Talking about moms. Sometimes I feel like Mother's Day can be a really great day. And, everyone that has that strong mom in their life, and it's so awesome that we can celebrate them. And I don't want to take away from that at all. Sometimes I feel like Mother's Day can be really hard for some people because maybe they had the unavailable mom, or they didn't have a mother present in their life, whether it be growing up or maybe they've passed. You said something about kind of remothering yourself. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, because there comes a time where, what happened in the past happened, and we may or may not be able to fix it, or maybe our, mother passes away, but if you have the opportunity to seek, to have forgiveness. I mean, forgiveness for ourselves is all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. My mom used to say to me, "Why can't you forgive me? Why can't you forgive me?" And because she never asked. She never asked. But when I was turning 40, and there was a knock on the door, and it's a longer story, but she came to my house and she knocked at the door, and she looked really nervous, and she asked if my daughter could leave the room, and she says, I went to a retreat, and the nun told me that I have to ask you for forgiveness. I guess it never had occurred to her, because for her, she was very forgiving, and she says, why was I so mean to you? And I said, because I had done my own work at this point, and that's the point, is doing your own work. Is I was able to say to her, because you did what was done to you. And she said, that's right. That's right. And so she was asking me for forgiveness, but I in turn wanted her to learn to forgive herself. So, there's just so many different pieces to this, but some of us have those opportunities, some of us don't.
Right.
But in the end, how we mother ourselves is by that love and grace to ourselves, and surrounding ourselves with people and other women that, if Mother's Day is a challenge for you, either because of your mother or because your family isn't honoring you in the way that you had hoped, and maybe a lot of women are very disappointed that they're not being honored or loved, or gifts, and that is so, so sad. But at the same time, we cannot allow ourselves to be judged in that way and think that because they aren't treating me the way that I would like to, that's a reflection of me. At some point, we have to take responsibility and really take care of ourselves and say, I am the most important and influential and impactful woman in my child's life. That is what I am. I am the leader of this home. I value me. I will celebrate me. I will surround myself with people who value and support me. My first Mother's Day, I was pregnant, and I told my husband, if you don't buy me a card, I'm going to hurt my feelings. He didn't. I mean, here's a mother who didn't want to be a mother. He did not buy me a card. I'm like, okay. I went to the maternity store and I bought myself dresses and swimsuits. It's going to cost you financially. I refuse to not take care of myself. That was important to me. It was very hard for me to make this choice to be a mom. And I still at that point had all my fears. And that's why the work I do is I refuse to allow women to be alone. It's like, we must do this together. We must encourage each other, love each other, uplift each other, because we all have different circumstances. But if we have that community to say, I see you, I see you, I support you, I love you, I'm going to lift you up, and let's celebrate you. Let's celebrate each other.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And I think I love the concept of telling your husband what you needed. I think us as women don't do that enough. We just expect people to kind of, especially the men in our lives, to kind of read our mind.
Yeah.
And then we get mad when they didn't do something that they had no idea that they were, that we wanted them to do. So I love that you set that boundary and you're sharing that, because that's one of the things I used to do all the time. It was, I wanted them to do this. They didn't do it. So I was mad and I was convinced that they didn't love me, didn't care, whatever it was, but they had no idea. They had no idea. It was
Right.
my bad.
And that was the last time, right? And now with 10 kids, I get very nice gifts. I get treated very well.
Oh, good.
But yeah, it was me setting that example for my husband. And then he thought, okay, it's my job to teach these children to honor their moms, just like it's my job to teach my children to honor their father. So
right.
Win-win.
But then you just went and took care of yourself.
I took care of myself.
You, instead of just sitting at home and being upset, you said, okay, I this was a tough decision for me, and I'm going to celebrate that I made this decision. And you did something that was going to celebrate that decision that you made. I think that's really, really big. Sometimes we depend too much on the outside world, the people in our lives, the situation to take care of us and to make us feel better. And we have to be able to take the bull by the horns and do it for ourselves. And whatever that looks like, some people that looks like buying a bathing suit and a few fun dresses for maternity. Sometimes it's going and getting a manicure, pedicure. Sometimes it may just be, taking a vacation, or taking a long weekend into a cabin up in the hills, whatever it is. And it could be large or small, but just taking care of yourself, and that will help you feel more secure and less needy or clingy or dependent on other people. I think self-sufficiency is huge, as well as also being able to ask for help. There's a balance there.
Absolutely.
There's a balance.
That's right. That's right. And also that we are modeling to our children all the time what it looks like to take care of ourselves. And if we're always deferring ourselves, I have a client right now that she's in her 50s, she has 5 kids, and 3 of them are in their 30s, and she was just recently divorced. So finances, everything's completely different,
right.
And for Christmas, she made the entire meal. Not one person offered, but that's what she taught them. I do everything, you come, I take care of you. And she bought the entire meal. She doesn't have the budget like she used to. And then, so no one brought not a thing, and not one person offered to stay to help clean up. They all left. And she was there crying, doing the dishes. And she realizes that next year she needs to have a list and say, I'm bringing the whatever, I'm bringing the prime rib. It's what she likes to make. And that's it. So what are you going to bring? So it's going to be a shift to say that I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And maybe I did. And look what I taught you kids to just come and take from me, and you all go home. And so she's taking responsibility that's what she taught them. But she also has to take responsibility that if she doesn't want it to be that way, that she needs to do something to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like you could be talking about my mom. I know you're not, but she very much is the same way. And just the other day, she was like, okay, what shall we do for Easter? And blah, blah, blah. And I went, Mom, how about we have a potluck? And she, well, that would be great. All right, let's do it. What do you want to do? Everyone has their assignment. We'll take care of it. And then it's not all on you. Okay. And then I was like, and you know what? I don't think anyone's going to care if we eat off paper plates and plastic silverware, because we have a very large family here in this area. So when we all get together, there's a lot of dishes that could go with it. We just want to be together and have good food and enjoy the day together. That's what it's about. It shouldn't be all about one person cooking and cleaning, like you said, taking care of everyone else while everyone else is having a grand time and you're stuck in the kitchen cooking, cleaning, picking up. Enjoy your family. So I think that's what we're going to do. Fingers crossed.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So hopefully she'll take you up on it, but wonderful you to provide her, give her permission that it doesn't have to be like it used to be. We can start new traditions. It's okay.
we're all older. She's getting older. I mean, it's time to adjust things a little bit. And
Sure. That's
so,
wonderful.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. I want to make sure I'm going to ask you the final question that I ask everyone on season 2. And then I want to give people an opportunity of how to find you and to learn more about you and maybe even work with you. So the final question that I ask everyone this season, what would you say to that listener who is really, truly struggling with maybe their childhood, with their parents, their mom being unavailable? Maybe they didn't even realize that was the issue until hearing this. And they're really, really struggling with, okay, now what? What do I do? What would you say to them?
I would say now it's time to take care of you. Now it's time to listen to you. Now it's time to prioritize you and reclaim your life. It's never too late. You do it for yourself, you do it for your children, you do it for your generations. And it's time to take the place, time to create the sacred place and space for yourself. So do it, embrace it, live it out, right? And give yourself permission to feel all that what happened and all that's lacking. And I tell my clients, sometimes they feel like Swiss cheese, there's all these holes.
Mm-hmm.
And the work that we do is filling up those holes. And so, but it starts with acknowledging it, that, oh, wow, yeah, maybe that was my struggle, and that there is something better. So always dream about what you want and then go out and create those kinds of relationships.
Perfect. I love, love, love that answer. Thank you. So for those out there who are just now dying to meet with you and work with you or learn more about you, let everyone know how they can do that.
Okay. You can either find me on Linktree, Amelia Mora Mars, Amelia, Amelia, Mora, Mora, Mars like the planet. And that has everything attached to it. Or you can go straight to my website, which is www.momconnections.com.
Okay. And I will put that down here for everyone to see so they can get that information. And I will always put that information in the show notes as well so they can find you and reach you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your knowledge and your wonderful spirit. I thank you so much for being here and being a part of this.
See, I love collaborating with you in the same work and uplifting people. So thank you for your work as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a pleasure to have you.
Likewise, to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, it's Tracy. I'm just here real quick to remind you to please subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening. Every subscription helps us out, helps us reach more people, and likes and comments. I appreciate all of those so much. Thank you for your love and support. I want to thank all of my guests and helpers behind the scene. I couldn't do it without you. You guys are truly the inspiration that helps me go through this every day. So thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're sharing with your friends, your coworkers, your family, or anyone else you think might be really needing to hear this content on how to heal and overcome from obstacles and tragedies and traumas. That's why we're here, so people can know that they're not alone, get some real good tips on how to better their life and to heal and to really be triumphant in their life and have a life that they can be excited about again. So thanks for being here.